Most people never calculate what dinner actually costs them, not the price on the screen, the price over time. Ordering food delivery costs on average 79.5% more than picking up the same meal in person, compared to cooking the same meal at home. Delivery is 601.7% more expensive. That is the surface number. What happens when that number repeats every evening across a decade is what this file is about. This is the hidden cost files. File 2, Daily Takeout. In 2026, Sarah and Emma lived in the same building, in the same city. Both were 28. Both earned $72,000 a year. Both worked demanding jobs in the same industry. And both came home most evenings facing the exact same question: what's for dinner? For Sarah, the answer lived in her phone. A few taps, a wait, a knock at the door. The average American spends over $1,850 every year on food delivery. Sarah was well above that. Her average order after delivery fee, service charge, and tip came to $34. She ordered 5 nights a week. She did not think of herself as someone who spent heavily on food. She thought of herself as someone who was tired. Emma cooked, not elaborately. Simple meals prepped on Sunday evenings, ready through the week. Her average dinner cost around $6. The ingredients were basic. The process was efficient. If you walked into both apartments on a Wednesday night, Sarah's looked more comfortable. Emma's looked like more work. That appearance held for about a year. Then, the gap between them started to become something else entirely. Food delivery apps were not designed to save you money. They were designed to make spending feel effortless. 80% of Americans now order delivery at least once per week. That adoption did not happen because delivery became affordable. It happened because it became frictionless. Bright photography, one-tap reorder, personalized recommendations built from your order history, estimated arrival times engineered to feel fast. These are not neutral design choices. They are a system built to reduce the psychological friction between wanting food and spending money on it. And embedded within that system is a fee structure most people never fully examine. A $14 burger from a local restaurant costs roughly $24 to $32 delivered once you add the delivery fee, service fee, and tip. That is a 70 to 130% markup on the sticker price. Postmates carries the highest markup at 92% above menu price, followed by DoorDash at 83% and Grubhub at 80%. Uber Eats carries the lowest. The platform earns. The driver earns. The restaurant adjusts its prices upward to compensate for the commission it pays the platform. And the person on the couch pays all of it in a transaction so smooth. They barely register it as a financial decision. Let us stop on a single order and open it completely. Sarah orders a chicken bowl from a restaurant 2 miles away. The menu price, $14. That is the number she sees first. That is the number her brain registers as the cost of dinner. Here is what actually happens to that $14 and what gets added on top of it before the order is placed. The restaurant's menu price on the delivery platform is already inflated. To compensate for the 25 to 30% commission, the platform charges the restaurant on every order. Most restaurants quietly raise their delivery prices above their in-store prices. Many restaurants increase prices by 10 to 15% on delivery platforms while keeping in-house pricing lower. So the $14 chicken bowl that costs $12.50 in the restaurant is already $14 before Sarah has paid a single fee. Then, the fees begin. Delivery fee, $3.99, not a fee that goes to the driver, a fee that goes to the platform. Service fee, 15% of the order subtotal. On a $14 order, that is $2.10, also to the platform. The driver has not been paid yet. Tip: the app suggests 20%. That is $2.80. The interface places the default tip selection on the highest option. Changing it requires a deliberate tap. Subtotal: $14 delivery fee, $3.99 service fee, $2.10 tip, $2.80 tax, $1.26 total, $24.15. A $14 dinner became a $24 dinner. That difference, $10.15, did not purchase more food. It purchased the act of not leaving the apartment. Now, multiply that difference by 5 nights a week. The convenience premium alone, the gap between what the food cost and what Sarah paid, is over $2,600 per year, not the food. The convenience tax on top of the food. Delivery is 4 to 8 times the cost of cooking the same meal at home. That ratio is not an edge case. It is the standard economic reality of the food delivery model, a model built on the premise that people will pay significantly more for the removal of effort, and they do. Americans spend close to $67 billion annually on DoorDash alone. That is not $67 billion in food. That is $67 billion in the decision to not cook. Here is what Sarah's dinner habit actually cost per year. Average order, $34.5 nights per week, $170 monthly, approximately $736 annual total, $8,832 Emma's cost over the same period. Average dinner, $65 nights per week, $30 monthly, $130 annual total, $1,560 the gap, $7,272 per year. That is the visible number, and the visible number is only the beginning. Take the $7,272 annual gap between Sarah and Emma. Assume Emma invests it consistently, automatically, into a broad market index fund earning 8% average annual returns. Historically conservative. Over 10 years, approximately $113,000. Over 20 years, approximately $363,000. Over 30 years, approximately $900,000. Nearly $1 million. From the question of what to do between 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening. A $300 per month reduction in delivery spending, invested over 30 years, grows to approximately $441,000. Sarah's gap was more than double that monthly amount. Nearly $1 million. From the question of what to do between 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening. A $300 per month reduction in delivery spending, invested over 30 years, grows to approximately $441,000. Sarah's gap was more than double that monthly amount. This is not a lecture about sacrifice. It is a demonstration of what repetition does to money in either direction. When spending repeats, it compounds into a much larger number than it ever appeared to be. When investing repeats, it does the same. The only difference is which direction the compounding runs. The question worth asking is not why people order delivery. The question is why smart, financially aware people order delivery far more than they intend to and feel surprised when the bill arrives. The answer sits in how the decision is framed at the exact moment it is made. At 7 p.m. on a Tuesday after a demanding day, the calculus is not, should I spend $34 or $6 on dinner? The calculus is, do I have the energy to cook right now? Those are entirely different questions producing entirely different answers. Behavioral economists call this present bias, the tendency to weight immediate relief far more heavily than future consequence. The delivery app is designed to appear at precisely the moment when present bias is strongest. Tired, hungry, decision depleted. The average American now orders delivery once every 6.7 days, and that frequency has grown steadily as the apps have refined their ability to surface at the right moment with the right offer. The most expensive aspect of food delivery is not any individual order. It is the automation of the decision. The habit that forms when ordering becomes the default, the reflex, rather than the considered choice. Once that default is established, the financial cost becomes invisible. Not because people cannot see it, because they stop looking. They do not eliminate convenience from their lives. They control when it activates. Deprivation is not a sustainable financial strategy. Intentionality is. 3 patterns appear consistently among people who manage this category well. First, they create friction before spending, not after. A 24-hour consideration window before ordering, keeping the app off the home screen. Maintaining a baseline of simple fast food in the kitchen, not a gourmet meal plan, just enough to make the default reach for the phone feel slightly less automatic. Second, they establish a fixed monthly convenience budget, not a moral judgment about ordering food, a specific number allocated deliberately to convenience dining. When it is spent, it is spent. The budget restores awareness that was previously absent. Third, they do not confuse frequency with occasion. The $34 delivery order is not inherently a problem. It becomes a problem when it is the answer to a question that was never consciously asked, when it happens automatically rather than because it was genuinely chosen. Emma did not never order delivery. She ordered it when she chose to. The distinction between automatic and chosen, repeated across thousands of small decisions over a decade, is what separated their outcomes. 30 years later, both women had moved, both had done well professionally, salaries had grown, careers had developed. At 58, sitting with a financial planner, Sarah noticed a gap she could not entirely explain. Not a crisis, not a catastrophe, just a persistent shortfall between what she had and what she had assumed she would have. The planner walked her through the projections. No single decision stood out as the cause. That was the point. The cost was never in any single order. It was in the repetition, the default. The 10,000 evenings where the phone came out automatically, where the decision was never really made at all. Emma looked at her own numbers the same year. They aligned more closely with what she had hoped for, not because she had earned dramatically more. Because one quiet, unsexy habit, choosing how to answer the dinner question, had compounded silently in her favor for 3 decades. The next time the notification arrives, your favorites are ready to reorder. Pause, long enough to ask the question behind the question. Not, do I feel like cooking? But, is this a choice I am making, or a default I am following? Because the difference between those two things, repeated across years, is not measured in dollars per order. It is measured in options, in flexibility, in whether the numbers, when someone finally sits down to review them, reflect the life you intended to build. The food was never the hidden cost. The automation of the decision was. This has been the hidden cost files. Some costs are visible, others take years to reveal themselves. Subscribe to uncover the next file.